Well, Allegra, we're very glad to and very fortunate to have you as part of our organization and to be sharing your work with us. Okay, we'll start. Hi, everybody. It's September 24th, 2023. If people are watching this later in recording, we have Allegra Jostad Silberstein with us today as our guest reader. She's also a Chaparral member. Allegra grew up on a farm in Wisconsin, but has lived in California since 1963. Her love of poetry began as a child. Her mother would recite poems as she worked. In addition to 3 chapbooks of poetry, she has been widely published in journals with a growing number of online as well as prizes and recognitions in poetry contests. In March of 2010, she was honored to become the first poet laureate for the city of Davis, serving for 2 years. I didn't know that. Cold River Press published West of Angels in 2015 and Lyra's Song in 2023. Her third book, Dancing with the Morning Breeze, was published by Kelsey Books in 2022. So I sent out for those people at the Heart Center, connected with the Heart Center and with Chaparral Poets. If I have your email, I sent you a link to that. And I'll also put a link to that particular new publication in the chat in a little bit once we get rolling. Allegra also dances and performs with Panela Trokonski. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Allegra?
Pamela Trokonski.
Oh, Pamela. Typo there. Pamela Trokonski, Third Stage Dance Company. She was accepted in the company in 1994 and now at 92 still dances, but has a minor role. Singing with the Davis Threshold Choir is another important part of her life. Allegra lives on an acre of land, and the good work of tending to the earth enriches her inner poet. And so, as I mentioned, I'll put the link to her new book there. Welcome, Allegra.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And also, thank you, all of you who came to listen today. That was so wonderful. And I thought, first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about how this book came into being. In 2006, Ted Kooser came. He was the poet laureate then, and he came to UC Davis. And among all the other things, he told us about his Valentine postcard project he had, where, for quite a few years, he'd been sending out a Valentine postcard to friends and all sorts of people. He probably had help from the students doing that. And when he came, he said we could sign up and we would get a Valentine postcard. Well, of course, I signed up. And then in 2007, I got my postcard, my Valentine postcard. And it was the very last one that he sent out. So I just treasure this postcard, and I want to read what he wrote on the postcard. This paper boat, carefully placed upon the future, it tips from the breeze and skims away. Frail thing of words, this Valentine, so far to sail. And if you find it, caught in the reeds, its message blurred, the thought that you are holding it a moment is enough for me. So that was his poem. And so I decided that I was going to start sending out Valentine postcards. And I've been doing that ever since that time. Well, I think I started in 2008 or 9. I'm not sure which one. And one of the poems I sent out, one of the Valentine postcards I sent out was called Touch. This world turns, the sun rises, though covered by mist, so I cannot see it. Light seeps through to touch the morning. I imagine your hand cupped over mine. It lights my day with language heard only in touch. Well, that's the beginning of how this story, of how this book came into being because I'd sent some poems to Dave Bowles, and well, he suggested maybe we could make a really tiny little book with these poems, and then he wanted me to add some more. So of course, I've got lots more to add, always we poets have, and so this what was going to be a tiny book turned out to be this larger one, and but it all started out with that Valentine poem project. Anyway, another thing is people like to ask me, how did you get the title for this book? Well, it comes because I'd written this poem and I didn't have a title for it. I just didn't really know what to call that book. And then I read this article about the star called Lyra, and in mythology, Orpheus plays. We all know Orpheus. You know, when he played his lyre, all the world would listen, even a stone. But so he was so talented. But then he was so terrible. He was so in love with Eurydice, and when he lost her, because he looked back when they were coming back, you know, from Hades, and his grief was so terrible, and his songs became so terrible that some angry women came and tore him up to pieces, and then they took his lyre and threw it into the river. But some muses came along and they rescued the lyre and brought it up to heaven, and there it stays, and now it is the star Lyra. And I thought to myself, that's the name of this love poem I've written. It's Lyra's song, and that's my song. So I'm going to read that now for you. My love is a cedar among the quivering aspen. He's the whippoorwill calling in the night, a watchman searching from the sanctity of the tower. He walks in green fields with wildflower weeds, the yellow blossoming mustard, the Queen Anne's lace. He is Solomon's song, ringing in the night of my desire, singing with the rainbow words of his mouth. I am all earth in the harmony of his lips. I am the deep well awaiting the dipper. White petals of my hibiscus are centered with crimson. Yellow tongue stamens rise in each one. Oh, beautiful tree, pale shadow of my love, surging past obstacles. He is a salmon returning to waters of home, a spawning, like words pouring out. He is a promise that cannot be broken. I stand by the edge of the rushing water, my harp fallen down from the sky. And
Thank you. It's beautiful.
next, thank you. I'm going to read my next, the very first poem that's in this book is the poem I seek. Perhaps it is in the purple flowers that appeared this morning on my towering locust trees. Or was it the single rose that blossomed last November? Maybe it is the silence between the branches of my oak tree. Or is it remembered spring water that trickled out of layered limestone? Could it be the stepping stone I brought to the stone steps of entrance? Or the violet found pressed between Esther and Job in my mother's Bible? The words from Solomon's song awaken. As the lily among the thorns, so is my love among the daughters. Something flows within me, a blossoming of understanding. You are the poem I seek, the stranger I have loved.
Mhm.
And something that occurs to me is that our love is so often associated with grief. I loved growing up on the farm in Wisconsin, but I don't think it was so good for my mother. She died in 1972 of a suicide. And so at first, when this sort of thing happens, you're torn with grief and anger. But eventually, as the years go by, things soften and you remember just with love. And once when I was driving home from a poetry reading in Sacramento, these words came to me for my mother. It's called a recitative for my mother. Black lace of winter trees collars the sky. Persimmon clouds and azure blue remain. As sun sinks beneath hills, color of purple dye, this causeway crossing sings a memory cry. I listen without words to give reply to whispers in a recitative of pain. Black lace of winter trees carves the sky. Persimmon clouds and azure blue remain. And my next poem is also a poem remembering Wisconsin with my Norwegian ancestry. This poem is called Padisa Ord, by these words. In the marrow of my bones, you are the path I follow. In the pulse that is the river of my blood running through the holding walls toward the sea, no stone to hold the rush. Many todays have passed me by, but I do not cry lost tomorrow, lost yesterdays. Echoing walls repeat, Padisa Ord. And these words, you, silent shine in the layered limestone of my shadowed past.
Mhm.
And
Everybody,
I
let's take a moment, and if people would like to unmute and give some feedback or make some comments, feel free to do so.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
there it is. Hi, Mom. That was beautiful.
Oh,
Sorry,
thank you.
I need to turn my video.
It's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with Zoom.
Allegra,
Oh,
as you've been reading, we've been Mark and I have been taking some of the phrases and posting them in the chat. The ones
oh, thank you. And this is another one, remembering home in Wisconsin. I hear your song. Here, where I walked in a dark forest. Here, where I stood beside the whitewashed walls of my father's barn. Even here, on the empty platform where I wait for the late night train, softly in the dark, honey sound flows from the broken rock. Puddle words ease out into a pool fed by springs in hidden heart crevices. My body stretches into a sweet river that runs to the ocean taste of salt. I hear your song.
Mhm.
And then, it's funny, we sometimes don't know. Sometimes things happen. Like, one night my ex came to tell me that he had found another love. Well, that was horrible for a while, but then it's amazing. It made a turn to my life that never would have happened had we stayed together. Because after that, I turned to poetry, I turned to dance, and there were time for these things that there weren't before. So, it's just amazing how even the horrible things that seem to happen to us have some good things that happen. But anyway, this was my first reaction. How many hours? On a Friday night by candlelight, you tell me another love calls to you, someone who will fill the space between we two. The clock strikes 2. I'm still awake. How many hours does it take to tame the tide of grief and shame, to leave behind who is to blame? Sunday morning, the same. Still the pain, awake and alive. Work waits, no sign of rain, except in my heart. The sun keeps shining in spite of me. Anyway, as I said, life goes on. And sometimes there's just this wonderful thing that we can do in imagination. I thought I had this. I gotta look up the page of it. It's have any of you ever looked at a picture and just thought, oh my God, I know this person, even though even though it's just a picture. Well, that happened to me once, shortly after this, I think. And actually, years and years ago, James Lee Job printed it in his, God, what was the name of the press? I can't remember. Anyway, it was called Copy Art. It's just a picture of a poet on the cover of a magazine. Copy art made up of dots too close to be seen discreetly, like grains of sand, and the spacing of the spaces like wave marks that tug at me, strong as an undertow. My hands reach out to touch his face. I write new lines upon his brow, then sweep them clear as on a sandy beach. My fingers wash like waves into indentations of his receding hairline. The steady pull of his eyes, twin moons that force the tide into and under, then push the water into hidden caves beneath granite cliffs impossibly convoluted, where the dark water tugs in lapping pulse through weathered veins until the tide pulls back, as it does time after time, turning again to light. And line after line, dot after dot, the steady pull that takes me to spaces between, where gentle oscillations graze the heart. And then, sometimes there's some other things, you may be attracted to a certain person, but you know that this is the kind of love that really can never be, that never can be brought to fruition or anything, because there are obstacles in the way, like maybe this person is married or is engaged to another person, whatever. Anyway, this poem, it's in the form of a sestina, and it's called Almost. So you'll hear, and in this one, you're going to hear the word almost repeated more than one time because of the form. To be close to you is enough, almost. There is a core of caring moving across aisles, entries, and exits that stands in an orchard of apples, cherry, and pear, where winged things make whispers you cannot interpret, but clearly hear. In this place, this now of here, sense of blossoms overpower almost. And a breeze comes, soft as a whisper, touches my cheek as I move to the meadow where a pair of roan horses stand. Waiting, they seem to understand I've brought something here for them. My brown bag might hold a pear or an apple. A carrot might do, almost. Even without gifts, when our paths cross, a softness enters, gentle as a whisper. And you might hear me whisper beneath this tree where I stand, nothing holding me back, nothing to cross, no one to listen, no one to hear, words drifting to love, almost, here beneath the blossoming pear. There is a longing I need to pair, not with loud words, only whispers to silence the renegade heart, almost. Maybe some laughter to help me withstand the intoxication of inner voices I hear, deep lines of longing I must not cross. One with my pear tree, one with across into something like a fruit, sweet as a pear, ripened to perfection and waiting here, as trust holds me in a soft whisper, holds me like a mother as I stand here, my wanting words enough, almost. Clouds whisper across the sky as I stand by my blossoming pear. I can hear a blessing, almost. And let's see. The next one is called At the Turn of the Road. And it's, let's see, hold it. I thought I was better organized than this, but here we go. At the turn of the road. There is a small house at the turn of the road, waiting for your return. The doorway seems dark, but 2 windows hold light. Whispers hover within. There is a small space in the turn of my mind, waiting for miracles. And then a few of my Valentine poems here. A note for you. There's grass to be cut, weeds to pull, but that can wait. The breath of a small dance I send to you, silent, like the shadow that comes and follows close by your side, circling round for only you to see. If you reach out your hand, the way shadows can reach, the way green leaves hold the sky, I will hold your hand. And next one is, thank you, Heart Song for You. This is a song I send to you. Actually, I haven't sent this one out yet. This is a song I send to you, a song without notes, just these words. You are with me in the melody of your songs that live in my heart. This message of love, crossing over lines of properly said and properly sent into the earnest of everyday talk, a melody of healing and blessing, my heart sends a blanket of love wrapped around you. And this will be my last one, so that's time for me to hear the poems of all the rest of you. Toward blossoming. Here we are this very day, light streaming through the bare branches, tinting them with shades of silver. Here we are, this very hour, our tongue-awakened spirit poured into words. Here we are, this very minute, fingers curved around our pen in the otherwise of forget. Here we are, this very moment, blossoms opening, here where we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allegra. Everybody, go ahead and unmute. People would like to provide some more feedback or comments or even ask some questions. Please do so.
Sorry, Mom. I love you. It was lovely to hear you reading. I don't know that I've ever heard one of your readings before. Unfortunately, my boys are restless, so I'm going to sign off now because I need to feed them. Love you, Mom.
Thank you. With young men, you have to feed them when they're hungry or they're impossible.
Well, Tim is maybe the worst, and he's not young, but that's okay. All right. Now I just have
Thank you.
Love you, Mom.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, how do I get out of here? I never, oh, here it is, leave meeting. Leave.
Allegra, if
Hi,
you
Mark.
hi, if you save the chat, you will see about 20 or 25 of the favorite lines of yours that I've typed in.
Oh,
I just love your work.
thank you. I love
yes.
yours too, Mark.
Oh, now I'm going to blush.
This is well, this is wonderful. Such a wonderful place to come, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's especially wonderful when you are here and present with it.
I'll say amen to that.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't heard some of those poems before. They're wonderful.
Wow. Thank you, Susan. Oh, that means a lot to me because I just love your poetry so much.
Oh,
Are you going to read one tonight?
I wasn't prepared to, but if you want me to, I can.
Sure.
I would love it.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, for those people who haven't been here before, then we open this up to, as sort of as an open mic. Whoever would like to share a poem or two, that'd be great.
Well, I would just like to add thanks to Allegra. Allegra,
Oh,
you know I'm a big fan of yours, and I mean, just keep putting out these beautiful, life-affirming, reverent poems that just fill us up. And thank you for all that art and beauty. Treasure.
thank you so much, John. Oh my God. And I want you to read a poem tonight too.
Okay.
Good.
Who'd like to go first?
I love that poem,
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
even though it breaks the heart.
I have a short one called Turn Page. As the sand runs out, anticipation builds. Cheers ring in the new. Gravity draws two bodies, fusing two strangers' lips, cauterizing a year past. What dreams may come?
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I have one as well.
Great.
Good.
And Allegra, this too was written actually on the way home from a poetry reading in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
So it's serendipity that this is the first one I had pulled out of the satchel. It's called Thank the Night. Thursday night, after the moon has gotten out of bed and poets like birds full of early worms have dispersed to favorite roosts, I disembark at the West Oakland BART station. I take a flight down the Watcher steps to the other side, make way past scratched glass and beyond the suspicious stare of security cameras, just to lean over a concrete wall and look upon the Port of Oakland and its 1,000 points of light. Don't know why I do this, but breathing is less restricted under open sky, and air of freedom mingles with spirit ready to flap its dove wings. Standing on this sacred platform, surrounded by machinery in hibernation, I thank the night for providing this place of reflection without distortion.
Wow.
That was great.
Yes.
How about you, John? Do you have a poem to share?
Yes, thanks, Rick. Actually, I'm going to do two short poems back to back. It kind of connected in a way.
Good.
And the first one's a triolet, if you're familiar with that form. If you're not, you'll just go to get the rhythm and rhyme of it. Let me just pull it up here if I haven't lost it. Here it is. Hummingbird Reverie. This hummingbird near the lemon tree brightens early morning thoughts. A moment to receive as a decree. This hummingbird near the lemon tree stirs up such reverie. For all my haves and have-nots, this hummingbird near the lemon tree brightens early morning thoughts.
Wow.
Thank you. And then, so much does not depend upon this poem that is trying to be like something else, while bleached white socks brightened by sunlight hang on the backyard line to dry, and lemons on the tree in their green to yellow ripening are being tested by gravity. So what is it we really see? Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's been delightful. I look forward to seeing you next month. We'll have another guest reader. Have a couple people in mind. And so watch your inboxes. I will be sending out something soon and some updates about Chaparral. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's
And especially thank you
a
for
beautiful afternoon.
yes.
Thank you, Allegra.
Okay.
And you do record these?
Yes.
Will this be on YouTube?
Yes, it will be on YouTube and also on the Chaparral website.
Oh, good.
Oh.
I'd like to hear Allegra again.
Yeah.
Everybody else.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.